Chief's Brief. Hey, I'm going to refer to you as Jay. Okay. First off, I want to thank you for coming in. This is an important episode. I've been wanting to do this episode for a long time. Is to see, I've had a lot of resources and things like that of government resources and people that are in positions, but this is a really cool episode to me because I want to show that, hey, people can have bad past and good futures, right? So, Jay, kind of to start us off, I've come to know you over the last couple of weeks and just know about your story, and it's really cool. And I respect that you've overcome some obstacles and to get where you're at. So, just to dive off, when I say bad past, I literally mean went to prison.
Yes.
Okay. So, tell us a little bit about going to prison, how you got there.
All right. Well, my story is a story of addiction and recovery.
Yeah.
So, the first time I started using and drinking, I didn't, they didn't lock me. Y'all didn't lock me up. We didn't go rolling off it. Yeah. So it was, it's that thing about get a frog in a frying pan with water. You turn the water up slow and the frog will boil. He doesn't know about it so gradual. First time I got in legal trouble. So I started drinking and, 15, 16, somewhere around in there. And I think I probably took pills before that.
I think we all had some issues,
sure.
Right. We all had our crazy past, right?
Yeah. But nothing slowed me down. My foot just got heavier on the gas. And I guess the first time I had legal consequences was I was probably 21. And last thing I remember playing Sega NBA Jams.
Oh yeah,
I dating myself, dating you, and drinking George Dickel White Label. And next thing I wake up and I'm in Gardendale City Jail, and wasn't real sure what had happened. A blackout drinker from early on, and come to find out, I called my sister to come get me out. Didn't want to call my parents. I would always come home. It was just I'd be late, but I'd come home. But I knew they were worried about me, and I called my sister, and she got me, which took me home. Told them I'd been in jail, which wasn't wasn't too much of a shocker. And they said, "What'd they get you for?" I said, "Well, minor in possession, public intoxication." And they just kind of nodded their head, and then in possession of marijuana, possession of paraphernalia, and my mom, "Oh Lord!" And Dad, I knew it. So, the cat was out of the bag. But I kept going, and I had to go through that. I think I got youthful offender status at that. But I was I would work and going to school, went away to college after graduating high school and spinning my wheels there. Came home and got more involved in the pills, and the drinking was steady all the way around, and got more and more involved in the pills and just got closer to the sources. And it was real important. It was just, that was kind of the thing. And in 2001, I was sentenced to 13 years for unlawful distribution of controlled substance. They had me on videotape and audio tape. They actually had 2 counts. So I was looking at 26 years. They had the enhancements.
So like a controlled by that they bought to undercover operation type thing.
Yes, okay. Exactly. Yeah. Made I think was the operation at the time. I think it's maybe dissolved now.
Not the whole like fake cop dressed up in.
No, it was somebody I knew.
Yeah, that's right. And that's how.
Yeah. And to be full disclosure, they wanted that. The reason I think that they wanted me, they knew I knew a lot of people. I wasn't this big. I wasn't a big drug dealer. I wasn't making no money. I was just trying to supplement my income, my habit. Just trying to offset some of that. And they knew I knew a lot of people, and I think that's what they wanted. And, it just wasn't something I was willing to do. And here, to be real honest with you, yes, my parents raised me to take responsibility for my own actions.
Yeah.
But another part of that was, if I rolled on somebody, where am I going to get my dope?
Yeah.
If I get that reputation. So, and I wasn't planning on quitting at the time. So, I went.
What year reference?
This is 2001.
2001.
I started serving my sentence. I caught the case in like 97. The date on the videotape was like 97. So it was a long, drawn out process.
Yeah.
And I was still living, doing the same thing from the time right up until till I turned myself in. I was still rolling, still doing my thing. And so went down, turned myself in Jefferson County Jail there for over a month, and went to Kilby.
Oh, wow.
Did the whole thing. Left, took us down.
Kilby ain't no joke.
No, it ain't. Leaving Jefferson County, they took us down, changed out of our stripes, and put us on them state whites, belly chains, ankle shackles. God. Got on the bus, riding down.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It seems like a so. What's interesting about that? So what I see now versus something like that, that's a fast, like, hey, I'm 21, I'm making some bad decisions, bam, I'm in prison, right? So, I mean, from what we see here, and in today's day and age, it's a long drawn out, like, hey, I did some time in county.
Right.
Hey, I did some more time in the county. Hey, I did some more time, and now I'm just out of chances, right? And now you're just so addicted, like, and now you're just in the cycle, and it's like, unfortunately, that's what we see of that a lot. Versus like your story you told me, I'm like, man, that seems like bam, bam, and they get.
Well, and I wasn't from, I was the first one in my family to go to prison. I can tell you that. I mean, it wasn't a world that I was, that I was familiar with by any means. But it was. I'll tell you what, I had to go. I'm grateful for going now. Because. That was something that Mom and Dad couldn't get me out of. I'd been pulled over. I'd been, I'd been caught. And we knew the mayor and we knew people, and I was just always able to get out of it. And this was a big hit to my ego that that okay, the rules do apply to me. So but I at the time I went in, it was really, really crowded. Not that it's not now, but they pushed me through Kilby pretty quick, and I went to work release pretty quick. And I was not eligible for
like a full-time position type thing, or
no, I had a full-time job. I wasn't eligible for regular parole. Regular pardon. So they started creating programs, and they created a SIS, Special Intensive Supervision, because they were so crowded. They just had to get people out, and people with distribution cases weren't eligible for regular parole. So I got out on right under a year. I got out. Still had to do the difference on paper, But it was just, I was back to doing anything I could I could get away with without going back. So that was not enough, to get me to fly straight. In fact, my sobriety date, and I'll get to that, was 9 years to the day from my release. So, I still had 9 years where I was still living the same lifestyle and doing essentially the same things.
And I say that sobriety, I guess vices, we'll talk a little bit about vices. Is the alcohol big one? Alcohol the big one?
Alcoholic, yeah.
Okay. Alcoholic. How long you been clean?
Over 14 years.
That's awesome.
Clean and sober over 14 years.
That's awesome. And I know you, and like, hey, look, I would have never guessed that you had a past like that. That I would have never guessed you're a participating member of society now. And, do you feel like that you get so many years between you that it's just like, hey man, like that, like you're carrying around like a football you can't drop?
No. Who I was informs who I am today. Who I am today, I see the world. I look through the glasses of a person who has been through that, who has found a way out, and now who lives completely different. And and that's who I am. I'm not a person who just tries to act like that didn't happen. I mean, I'm pretty open with stuff.
I applaud that. I think that's amazing, because I really hope that people see this, and even if it's just one person, even if one person sees this and says, man, I didn't even know that. Like, I think some people get so far in, they don't even think that's an option.
That's right. And I didn't. I didn't think there was a way out. I mean, I didn't see a world where I could exist without putting something in my body to make me feel different. And it just didn't seem like, because I had tried. I'd been to rehab before. I went to rehab ultimately 3 times. First time I went was just to dry out and get my tolerance out. my tolerance down. The second time, I knew it was a good idea to stay sober,
Yeah.
but I wasn't willing to do the things that it was going to take for me to get
Yeah.
to stay sober. The third time, I approached it differently.
Yeah.
And and going to treatment is great. There's probably all I can really talk to is my experience.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to stay away from opinions and all that. But there seems to be a perception that people go to rehab and then they get out and everything's supposed to be okay. But my experience is, you go there and you kind of get your feet up under you, kind of get some wind in your sails, and then the rubber meets the road when you get out. What am I willing to do? Some
hard choice.
Different.
Yeah.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah.
If I change on the margins, I'm going to have marginal changes. There's
Yeah.
some dramatic lifestyle changes that have
Yeah.
to happen. And for me, what that was, and the reason that you're not seeing my face, is because I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
And the anonymity part of that is a few different layers.
Yeah.
The one, of course, being if somebody's listening to this and they're seeing my face and they're thinking about going to a meeting tonight and they see my face and well, that's not anonymous.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
People need to feel safe coming to an AA
Yeah.
meeting and know that they can come there and people are not going to go out, hey, I saw Steve or I saw Jim at the meeting tonight. That's not
right.
what
Yeah.
happens. So there's that layer of anonymity. Another is if I'm on here and I'm saying I'm sober 14 and a half years and I'm talking about how great everything is, and then 6 months somebody sees me, they saw me on this and they see me at the bar, they're going to say, oh, I know AA didn't work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
When what would have happened was I stopped doing the things on a daily basis that keep me sober. I stopped working. I stopped doing what I was supposed to need to be doing. It wasn't AA that didn't work, it was me that didn't work.
Yeah.
So there's a few different layers of that. So that's
and I really wanted the meat and potatoes of the story, rather than I don't care if you see a face or not. Like you see my face. I mean, I have a beautiful face. No, I'm just kidding. But I just applaud you coming on. I mean, I wanted to tell a story like this, and so with addiction. Where do you see, and this may be opinionated, but because it's a little different, when you're talking about, I think yours was heavily on alcohol
and opiates and benzos. And it was all out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was wide out.
Do you just, at the time, do you just see, I've always wondered if you view yourself the complete opposite of like, how do you think law enforcement looks at you? Do you think that they look at you at the time you're doing all this?
You're out to get me. Yeah. And that's your job. You're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's that dance. I mean, I knew I was living outside the law. I mean, I didn't necessarily begrudge police officers for doing their job. I mean, it's part of it's the hustle. It's part of the thing. But the fact of the matter is, I had to feed that addiction in spite of that. When it was, there were weird things happening in that community I was in before I got popped. I knew weird things were going on, but it was not. I was unable to remove myself from that.
Yeah.
If I had been in clear mind, I would have said, "This getting dangerous. I know something's about to happen. I'm out of here." But my addiction, I had to feed it, so I didn't go anywhere.
And it just laser focuses.
Yeah. Gotta feed it.
Because I think people think that we despise the person. We despise the action. Right. We despise the action, and we want to help. I don't think, because I want somebody to, if we arrest somebody, and I want that to change their lives. That's the hope of us. We hope that changes their lives and they become, on the other side. Right. That's the hope. I think people think that we want to, now there are some crimes that when we start talking about other crimes that have nothing to do with drugs or alcohol,
right, that
I think, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you, majority of the situations you deal with are probably fueled by some kind of alcohol or drug use.
I think so. I think so.
Underlying.
Other than child crimes, which
right,
that's kind of where I was leading to. Like, hey,
right,
throw away the key for me. But when it comes to that stuff, but I think all the other ones, property crimes, mm-hmm, tied back to drugs, right, or addiction of some sort, right? Because they got to feed that. Mm-hmm. So the only way to feed it with no money is to go steal somebody else's stuff, sell it, and pay for that stuff, right? Or, me and you even spoke about that. Like, hey, you told me you came from a pretty good upbringing, and sort of didn't really get too far into it, and
Right.
you
Well,
didn't get too far into it.
because my mom and dad were going to love me to death, and I was just, now I wasn't stealing from you, but damn, I was taking from them,
Yeah.
Now I'd come look in your medicine cabinet if I was visiting your house. I was going to see what's in there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take all of them if you had something in the cabinet. I'd take some though.
Yeah.
So.
And that's interesting to hear because I think a lot of times by the time we get involved, it's so far gone that they, like, I mean, they don't care. They're going to steal everything they can get. Like that's interesting. You say, "Hey, I take a few."
Right.
It sounds like you got, it was early that, and you were, the system kind of worked. It just took a long time to work.
It did take a long time because even after I got out, 2003, I still got a DUI. It was reduced to a reckless driving. I still got another public intox, so I still ran afoul of the law. My solution to not going back to prison was not selling anymore.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
But the problem wasn't being treated.
That's right.
My addiction, my alcoholism wasn't being treated.
Yeah.
And so until that happened, and that's why I wanted to do this. We talked about this. We could have. It's not fair for me to talk about my life was this bad and this was what my life was like, and now my life is what it is, which we haven't really got to. It would not be fair for me to talk about it was this bad, it's this good, and if I'm somebody out there listening, I'm like, okay, well then what happened? And it's not. I'm not able to talk about what happened, and without talking about Alcoholics Anonymous, because that's where the change happened for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and so that's the neat part about this for me is the living different. I mean, I've got a full pardon from the state of Alabama, and you probably are aware of how hard that a full pardon in the state of Alabama. It was in 2003, I think.
Very
I got
hard.
that. Not a lot of people were getting pardons.
Yeah.
I think they would even refuse.
And the state of Alabama was hard to get.
Yeah. I get to travel a bunch today. I've got to.
Yeah, we'll talk about a little bit. So where are you at today? We know we've got to where you came from, but where are you today? I know where you are, but
another big thing for me was I needed to get let go from my job. I used to say I lost my job. That I knew where it was. They just didn't want me there doing it. But that was important. For them to let me go, and it was just I needed those heavy consequences.
Yeah.
Were a part of getting me to the point where I was willing to do something different.
Yeah.
So, but I went back to that employer after a couple of years of being in recovery and had a real honest conversation with them, and they took me back.
Wow.
And I was being supervised by a guy that I used to supervise, and I was just fine with it. And I was making not near what I was making when I left, but I was grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah.
And that company's given me a few different opportunities, and they've been real good to me. And,
that's awesome.
I'm still there now. I've been there maybe 11, 12 years.
It's just willing to climb out of the hole.
Yeah, just knowing, having some humility, and accepting where I am, and be great and grateful for the opportunity. Yeah. And we've talked a little bit about this. My dad passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was still drinking, and me standing on the back porch, and they were just disgust. You just seeing the disgust in their eyes, and the pain in their eyes, and the disappointment in their eyes for all those years.
Yeah. 23
some odd years, And I remember being on the back porch and him saying, "Jason, you're not even going to be able to come to me and your mama's funeral." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You can be too drunk."
Yeah.
And that hurt, but it didn't hurt enough.
Yeah.
But I was, after I got sober, he got to see me get sober. He got to meet my wife and have a good relationship with her.
Yeah.
I got married in recovery.
Yeah.
And he got sick, and he didn't tell anybody for a long time what was going on. By the time he brought it up, it was too late.
Yeah.
And the last 3 months of his life, he suffered a lot.
Yeah.
And he asked for me, and I was there.
Yeah.
I was there with him. I was there in the hospital with him. It was a long, long ride, but I was able to be the man that my family needed me to be.
Yeah.
And when he died, we found in AA you get medallions for years, and over the years I give my mom and dad a medallion, and they kind of fight over it, which one get to keep it. And we found him after he died and buried him with him.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
So
man.
It's just that's. I know it doesn't sound like a gift, but being able to be there for my dad when he was scared and he didn't know what was going on, and he wanted me there to be able to be there, as opposed to what would have been going on if I had not been in recovery is I'd have been sitting at home on my couch, pouring liquor down my throat, saying, "Feel sorry for me. My dad's dying."
Yeah.
You know how selfish and self-absorbed and worthless and useless that would have been.
Yeah.
You know?
Did religion play a factor at all?
Not religion per se, but spirituality.
Yeah.
You know, I have an opportunity to kind of help guys work with guys. You know, and one of the things questions I ask is talk about spirituality without using the word God or church.
It's hard. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard, but it's a good exercise. You know, because it's not just about those two words. You know, there's a lot more to spirituality. So that's kind of the angle I come from.
Yeah,
is a spiritual angle rather than a religious angle.
Yeah, that way, even if so, I mean, I think it's important to have a relationship with God to be able to get out of to be able to know what you're supposed to be doing in life. But I do see a point of like, hey, some people may not take that step, you know, but the spirituality around it
encompasses all of it.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and it makes it more available to more people.
Yeah,
you know, by approaching it like that.
Yeah, I see that.
On whatever journey, spiritual journey, wherever the path that may lead.
Yeah,
you know, that's up to the individual.
Yeah,
that's
up
to me. And you know, and I know when I use the word God, I know what I mean when I say the word God.
Yeah,
and it can mean whatever it needs to mean to you.
Yeah,
you know, and one of the things I really love about that approach is, you know, it's not my job to convince anybody or change anybody, or you know, it's just everybody gets their own journey.
Yeah,
you know, gets to have that connection.
Yeah. So you get out and you going back to when you first got out. You struggle some more, and then you go back in, I guess.
No,
or you never go back in.
Never went back to prison.
Yeah,
I spent a few nights in city.
Okay.
City and county jail.
Okay.
You know, over those 9 years, I'd had a couple of nights in jail here and there.
Yeah,
but it was, you know, just misdemeanor stuff.
Yeah.
That I was caught doing.
Yeah.
You know? But let me say this. I mentioned I work with other guys, and I like to think that I may make a difference in some ways. But I can tell you one thing with absolute certainty that I have done that is meaningful, and I've taken a drunk driver off the road.
Yeah.
And that's one thing and that's something that that is huge for me. You know, because I drank and I drove.
Yeah.
And we all know where that can go.
Oh man. Yeah. You know, I was talking to a couple of kids that were, you know, getting ready to go to college. That I had the opportunity, and I love being able to. It ain't me doing it, but we run a 501 that we do scholarships with, and I think every one of them that came and got a scholarship from me, you know, they got to come in and they got to show their. I said, look, you just do one thing for me. I'm not saying you would or you wouldn't, but learn how to have fun without alcohol or drugs. Learn how to have fun.
Right.
Like learn how to go out and have fun sober, like with yourself, before you ever even think about having fun that way, right? Because even me, I learned that as an adult, you know, that, hey, I can have, you know, I like to go fishing. I like to go, you know, I mean, I don't, you know, I'm not saying I don't, you know, socially drink, because I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say that, if I said that. But I could go with it or without it. I don't really care. I'm not a big drinker. You know, people that know me say, yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen him. May not have ever seen him do it, but I might, you know, he might have a beer or whatever. But it's just not a big thing for me. It's not like I could care less, you know, like it's
funny. I'm not anti-alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even really anti-drug, man. It's none of my business what other people do. But it's funny. People know I'm sober, and most people know where I came from, and we'll go out to eat with some people, and they'll not order a drink when in otherwise under any other circumstance I'll know they would order a drink. And the only thing that makes it awkward is when they don't order a drink.
Yeah.
You know, because I know, you know, I suspect that they're not doing it because of me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fine with it. You know, being around it. You know, it's not. I haven't struggled with a drink in a long time.
14 years sobriety is a great accomplishment. So,
but I didn't do it by myself.
Yeah.
I had to have help.
You had a circle.
Yeah, man.
And is that? I feel like that's a huge part when we deal with a lot of people. It's really the circle that I mean, it's more the circle around you than it is.
Water seeks its own level.
Man, it does. It's huge.
No matter what, where you're at.
And I tell, if you got goals, man, and I think if you got goals young, these young guys, I see it now. Like, man, I wish I would have, I wish I'd had the goals I have now when I was 18, so I could go back and I could accomplish those goals and have better goals and then surrounding myself. Not that, I mean, look, I still have the same friend group. I mean, and they're my best friends, but I didn't have goals back then, and they did. And,
Right.
And I had later in life goals, and Uncle Sam had goals for me, so
Right.
I joined the military, thankfully.
Okay. Yeah.
Or my path might have been a little different. I joined the military, and then I was like, they told me where to be, where to eat, sleep,
Yeah.
and use the bathroom.
Yeah.
It was easy. They had the goal for me.
Right. Well, and with and even with that, man, I just I got sober at 38, and I thought my life was over. Man, it's done. So it's all. But my life didn't even start until I was turned 38. And I got married, bought my first home, bought my first vehicles.
Yeah.
We've been all over the country hiking. We're national park junkies. We've been all national parks all over the country. AA meetings all over the country.
Yeah.
And I'm living my best life. Living a life that I wouldn't have even known that I would have known. I wouldn't have even known to ask for.
Yeah.
So I say that you're talking about it. There's life after addiction.
Yeah.
It's a whole world opens up.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to see it when you're in it.
Yeah, I get it.
You just can't. You can't see it.
Do you need somebody to help you see it?
It was for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't even about. I got to the point where there were no conditions, no expectations, no demands. It wasn't a thing of, I'll do this if my life gets better. I'll do this if, to be complete. I was in a place where I was spending a fair amount of my time fantasizing about a way to kill myself and make it look like an accident.
Yeah.
Because I was the first person in my family to go to prison.
Yeah.
So I just got to the point to where nothing really mattered, and I was just with. I didn't have anything to protect. It wasn't about my pride. It wasn't about my ego. It wasn't about trying to keep any illusions up, and nothing about a relationship. All that shit had gone.
Yeah.
It was about just, okay, well, now here's my options. Am I willing to do something dramatically different? Or am I going to take that other route? Let's try this, and, and living, it didn't happen in my comfort zone. I had to get way, way out of my comfort zone for this to happen and ask for help and be willing to take some suggestions.
Yeah.
And while I was the first person in my family to go to prison, I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. I went back to school and got my degree.
Yeah.
I was able to give it to my mom and dad and say thank you.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's, stuff like that, you just can't put a price tag on.
Man, that's crazy. And I hope somebody listens to the episode, and I hope that they, even if it's just one person struggling with something, like that, saying, hey, man, I didn't even realize that. Like, I didn't know people and I do this at a local level because, we can all watch national, but
right.
People are not going to know you. They're not going to see you, but they might bump into you in this community.
Sure. For sure. I'm out there. But, if you tell me, from my experience, before I went through this, people didn't really change. I didn't know many people. Right. Of course, water seeks its own level, so I was running with that group. None of those people really changed. They died. Yeah. They got locked up, but nobody really changed. It's possible.
Yeah.
And when I started going through this recovery, I had to acknowledge it wasn't likely, but it's possible.
Yeah.
And that let me know what I was up against.
Yeah.
So we've got a dog named Hope.
Yeah.
I've just realized we've had this dog 11 years, 10 years. And I'll come in the house and I say, there's hope, there's hope, there's hope. And I've just recently really realized what I'm saying is there is hope.
Yeah.
There is hope. When I come in and I guess that's why I'm doing this, man. This is not something I ain't trying to promote nothing or try to, it's not something
we say, it kind of came, you didn't come to us. It kind of happened. I don't know what I'm looking for a word, but just naturally, organically. Yeah. and I'm glad it did.
Yeah.
We try to keep these. Man, me and you could talk for a while, but we're wrapping up on our segment time. But man, anything you want to say before we finish it?
Just there is hope. It's not easy, but it's worth it.